What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, we're continuing with our spoiler season content. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you're doing fine. Day 3 of spoilers. Sorry, day 4. I'm just on day 3 here because, as happens most days, a couple of the cards were spoiled after I finished recording yesterday's video. So, 2 more cards came out. Paxong Pup and Mayordomo Muerto Viviente. Both relevant creature types, so let's check them out. First up, Paxong Pup. Unfortunately, it's a 2-drop. If this could just be one green mana, it would be in every single wolf deck. And unfortunately, it's a 2-drop. And so it's already like vying for position with Pack Leader, with Ranger class, with Kasich Naturalist. The list goes on. That slot in the werewolf deck is already so packed. But it does have a really powerful ability, and I'm thinking like maybe a 2-of, the same way like you do with the enchantment removal werewolf guy. Just like a 2-of as a way to put a bit of life gain into your deck in a deck that doesn't have any other life gain is probably pretty good. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another wolf or werewolf, put a +1/+1 counter on Paxong Pup. It's kind of like similar to Luminarch Aspirin in that it triggers at the beginning of combat. And then when Paxong Pup dies, you gain life equal to its power. So that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. Like I said, probably just like a 2-of in a werewolf deck, maybe, as a way to gain a bit of life in a pinch. Could be okay. But otherwise, if it was like what I think that the werewolf deck really needs is a good 1-drop. Right now, there's like there's a horrible 1-drop green wolf common that doesn't really do much, and there's that red one that has boast, but that's about it. So unfortunate that this isn't a 1-drop. It would have been perfect. And then next up, I beg your pardon, from yesterday's cards, we've got Mayordomo, the Undead Butler. Creature zombie, 1 and a black for 1/2. When it ETBs, mill 3 cards. When it dies, you may exile it. If you do, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Also, unfortunately, a 2-drop. Why couldn't it just been a 1-drop? There's a lot of these zombies cards from Midnight Hunt that want creatures in your graveyard, like Old Stick Fingers and the Ghoul Caller's Harvest, but I don't know. At least in the zombie decks that I've been building, the zombie decks that I've been playing, it's a little, yeah, I wouldn't play this. Like, it's already Jadar, you know, your zombie adversary, the black adversary, it's in the same 2 slot. There's so many good cards already in that slot. Your most of your good removal, you know, Fateful Grasp, etc. So I don't know if this will see any play, but pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like the art. All right, so that's all that was left from yesterday that we did not already see. We've seen all the stuff. On to the new stuff. First up, we've got another werewolf in red. Oof. On a red aggro, guys. I beg your pardon. So, Fearful Villager, 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 2/3 with menace. And then when it's night gone, it just grows a little bit. Okay, this is mostly for draft, probably. There's better 3 drops in the werewolf slot. Mr. Stormseeker, clearly the obvious better card in any deck that would play werewolves like this. So this is definitely draft chaff. Next up, Lunar Rejection. 2 mana instant, 1 in a blue with Cleave. Wow, Cleave is some of the best cards are in Cleave so far, or have Cleave. So you can either pay 1 in a blue and it's return target wolf or werewolf creature card to its owner's hand. In blue, Simic Wolves, guys. My Simic Ramp deck with this could be a good piece in that, but then you can cast it for its Cleave cost. Then it ends up costing 4, and you can just return any creature card to its owner's hand. I don't know. It's kind of better, at least in my opinion. Like, you know, people that aren't playing wolves and werewolves in their decks have better options to return their own stuff to their own hands. Even Into the Royal is better. For the same mana cost, you can draw a card as well with Into the Royal. Pay the kicker, for example. But yeah, if there does turn out to be some kind of teamer werewolf deck, or like Wet Gruul with a few counter spells in your werewolf deck, then this might be pretty sweet. Then you're just paying 2 mana to return it and save it, and you get to draw a card and recast it. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see. Next up, Angelic Quartermaster. 5-drop. 3 colorless, 2 white for an Angel Soldier with 3/3 with flying for 5. That's becoming quite a common thing. We got 2 of those in the last set. When it ETBs, you put a +1/+1 counter on up to each of 2 target other creatures. Not horrible, but there's better 5-drops. Be mostly for draft. In the Angels deck, there's better 5-drops already. Plenty. There's 3 5-drops vying for position right now. The Valkyrie enchantment thing, Lieza, which is just freaking amazing, the new angel, and the new angel that saves you from the brink when you go below 0 life, and then it comes back as a 3/3, and it doubles your life total every time you attack. I can't remember the name of the card, but anyway, this is not going to see any play in my opinion. Next up, Kasich Wolf Rider. If only, I was just talking earlier about the 1-drop, and then I saw this, and I saw the wolf and Kasich, and already there's the Kasich Naturalist. I was like, oh yes, a rare 1-drop like wolf. And then I checked the creature type, and it's a human knight. And I think everybody who saw this card probably had the same exact reaction. Like, oh, where are we going to be putting this thing? Like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, there are some pretty sweet knights, little knight tribes starting to form up, to be honest. But we really needed a good 1-drop in wolves and werewolves. I think we will still get one. Spoiler season is still early days, but yeah, this isn't it. And it's weird because then, it's later in the game, you can pay 3 mana, tap it, and exile 3 cards from your graveyard. It's really clunky, and then you create a 3/2 red wolf creature token. So it was supposed, I don't know. I guess we'll see. It's one of those that it just doesn't make sense right away why it deserved to be rare. I mean, it's pretty good in like maybe mono red, but there's better 1-drops right now in mono red aggro than this guy. 1/2 with menace that can maybe later make you a wolf. Meh. Next up, the first Mythic of the day. Toxrill the Corrosive. A slug horror. 7 mana. 5 colorless, 2 black. Whoop, pardon me. At the beginning of each step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. The beginning of each end step. So even the very same turn that it comes into play, it's a 7/7. You put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. Wow. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, you create a 1/1 black slug creature token. And you can pay Dimir colors, 1 blue, 1 black, sacrifice one of those slugs, and draw a card. Wow. That's a pretty cool finisher, like in a Dimir control deck. Like, just as a one-off against like aggro, if you can get it to stick around for like 2 end steps, that's mono white, like, gone. Wipe their whole board, beg your pardon, hit the mic, and you end up getting a bunch of 1/1 black slugs that you can hit face with and sacrifice to draw cards and rebuild your hand. That is crazy cool. It does something the turn it comes into play. Beginning of each end step. It's not an ETB trigger, but still, like, the turn it comes into battlefield, it already kind of does something. The only thing is, like, if then they kill it the following turn, those those counters won't give the -1/-1 because they only do so if Toxrill is in play. It's like a static ability of Toxrill. It's not a property of the counters, the slime counters. But there'll still be slime counters on those creatures, but if Toxrill gets removed, they don't get the -1/-1. I guess that's pretty cool. Like, if you have like 2 of them in the deck, and then at some point later you like top deck the next one and bring it down, and he's still got all of his creatures with his what are they called, slime counters, and then suddenly they die. But I don't know. I prefer this to the Dimir Eye of the Beholder card that we got in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. That big like eyeball guy that steals stuff off the top of the opponent's library. That also costs 7, I think. Was it 6? But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I kind of like it. Next up, a spider. Finally, we needed some more spiders. Although it's kind of in the wrong colors. I guess some sort of self-mill reanimator, Sultai with Lolth and Blex the Vexing Pest. And there's a few other good spiders and bats and stuff. Might this be the piece that I was missing? I was actually tinkering with a deck just like that the other day. Kind of in preparation to see if we were going to get any more spider tribal love. And this could be pretty cool. It'll turn the deck from Golgari into Sultai. So 2/3 with reach. And at the beginning of the upkeep, you mill a card. Mill a card. Now at some point you can pay 4. 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue. You tap it, sacrifice it, and you create a 1/1 green insect creature token. Insect. For each creature card in your graveyard, activate only as a sorcery. Meh. Okay. Forget everything I said about that spider tribal thing with Blex and Lolth. This doesn't make sense in that deck. Nah. Next up, now this is one of those dual face cards. It's Ulvenvald Oddity and Ulvenvald Behemoth on its backside. This is gonna see a lot of play in my opinion, especially if a Seeker's Chariot gets banned. I still wonder about that whole Alrun's Epiphany, a Seeker's Chariot thing, but even if it doesn't get banned, because it sits in the same slot as a Seeker's Chariot, I still think it might, in some decks, be better. So it's 4 mana, 4/4, that has Trample and Haste. So already, like, Wow, even just in Gruul, you could do like turn 3 Reckless Stormseeker, turn 4 Ulvenvald Oddity, turn 5 either like Goldspan Dragon or Froghemoth. And it's all just like haste, 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 haste. Gruul is looking scary with this guy. And even if you never get to transform him, just format, that's the same similar stats to what was it called? Questing Beast. 4 mana, 4/4 trampling hasty guy. But then you can pay 7, 5 colorless, 2 green, and it transforms into the Oddity. And it just becomes an 8/8. And it gives all your other creatures you control get +1/+1, trample, and haste. Some kind of like a ramp deck. You can get this to like flip like maybe 1 or 2 turns after somehow. 4 mana, and then it goes up to 7. So it's an additional 3. Like play 1 ramp spell the following turn, and then the turn after that you could already flip it. It's a lot of turns, but anything that's sort of kind of more win more-ish, like at that point in the game when you've got 7 mana. But still, the opponent's still surviving a couple of turns after you've got this guy on the battlefield, and you just drop a few more cards, and they get bigger and have trample and haste. They're not gonna last very long after that. So I think it's definitely gonna see a lot of play, and it's pretty scary. As if Mono Green needed something like that instead of the Gnarled Professor or Toski or a Seeker's Chariot. Like instead of going the all Renin 7 you just go this into Froghemoth. That's super quick and a lot of damage, and they all trample. Ooh. That's scary. That is scary. Anyway, next up, Brine Hound Gift and Brine Coma. On the front side, it's okay, so it's one of those auras, spirit disturb things. Sick. And I'm really liking this trend. They costing less to disturb than their initial cost. It's kind of the opposite to the disturb cards from Midnight Hunt. When Brine Coma enters the battlefield or becomes the target of an aura spell, create a 1/1 target spirit creature token with flying. Interesting. Not target, sorry. Whenever Brine enters the battlefield or becomes the target of an aura spell. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty contested slot. Maybe like a 2 of. Because then when it becomes an aura side, whenever Brinebound Gift enters the battlefield or enchanted creature becomes target. Okay. Just gives the exact same ability as the front side to the creature that it enchants on the back side. Yeah. That's pretty damn sweet. Again, giving spirits a little bit more survivability. Something gets targeted removal, boop. You make at least you get a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying back out of the deal. I think this Disturb deck is going to be really good. I thoroughly enjoyed playing it in Midnight Hunt, and it's, I think, of the so far, the 2 mechanics that are coming back. It was in Midnight Hunt, it's coming back in Crimson Vow. It's like the one that got the most, I feel, support again. So it's like if you take the disturbed cards from Midnight Hunt and put them together with the disturbed cards from Crimson Vow, they get better together. Don't forget, there's like I don't play paper, but I remember seeing in the announcement video on the 28th that there was a dual set draft booster pack, something like that, where they're gonna like put both sets in draft packs, so you can like craft, play draft both sets at the same time. I think that's pretty cool. because they're clearly intended to be played together. And they of course will in standard and historic, but not in draft. So I'm really stoked they did that. Next up, Twin Blade Invocation and Twin Blade Geist. Wow, the graphics are terrible on this one. Twin Blade Geist. Okay, so it's another one of these disturb cards. Is a Spirit Warrior with double strike, 1/1. That's pretty cool. As you can tell already what it's going to be on its backside. This is one that costs more to disturb, so 2 colorless, 1 white. Comes back as an aura, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has double strike. Wow. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. I think eventually, like, you sort of just play into an opponent's sweeper that you kind of know is coming, and then post sweeper you cast another creature, and then you start putting all your disturbed auras on it, and it like helps you rebuild the board really quickly. There's also that card from yesterday. I think it was this thing. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a white spirit. If you have this on the board, start bringing back the auras, you know, and then the thing you're attaching them to becomes like this crazy, like, you're just putting all these auras on it. Hopefully there's one that gives like hexproof or something like that, or indestructibility. Then we're talking. Anyway, next up, Paladina Sigardiana. Humano Cavaleiro. Oh, some Portuguese. Another Selesnya card. Human Soldier. That's going to fit together with this guy, I guess. Human Cleric. It's a Guardian Paladin. Human Knight. Okay, so I got it wrong. Cavaleiro is Knight. I thought it was Soldier. As long as you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters onto a creature this turn, so Guardian Paladin has trample and lifelink. I like that. And then you can pay 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 white. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it gains trample and lifelink until end of turn. I kind of really like that. So this is our signpost uncommon for the Selesnya colors. It's a 4/4, so it works well with the other guy because he has train, or what was it called? Training. It needs the creature to be bigger than it to get the +1/+1 counter. Interesting. It's my kind of deck. I hope it gets good. I really, really hope it gets good. It's my style of play. Selesnya, counters, humans, that kind of stuff. I'm really hoping that it becomes a thing, but it's just been so rubbish, Selesnya, for a while now. Fingers crossed. Another demon 7-drop. Dreadfast Demon. We've got so many of these 7-drop demons. They're all like 6/6 flyings, 7/7 flyings that do nothing much upon entering the battlefield. Most recent one, I think, is the one that kind of does something. It like you can tutor any 2 cards, and then the opponent picks one. That one gets put into your graveyard. The other one goes into your hand. Burning Rune Crest Demon or something like that. But anyway, didn't see much play at all. This, at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Dreadfast Demon. Okay. That's pretty cool. I've got this like cleric demon deck that I've been trying to build with Jaren, and that cleric that when it enters the what's it called? It enters the battlefield, and you and the opponent sacrifice something. Demonic demon, something like that. Demon something. It's a demon. It's a cleric human, but it's got demon in the name. Anyway, that demon cleric deck that I've been brewing up, this would actually work really well. Because you just sacrifice a human, which would trigger Jaren, and then you get a copy of this guy. So you have to sacrifice a creature, a non-demon at the beginning of each end step. But I mean, you will only ever need really like maybe 1 or 2 more end steps before closing the game out with all those 6/6s. So, interesting. Okay, and then the last card for today's spoilers is the Cloaked Cadet. I was hoping there would be a little more on Halloween. Maybe there will be, as yesterday, showed. Maybe there'll be a few more that appear, but I'll tell you about them in tomorrow's video, as I've been doing. But Cloaked Cadet is a 5-drop, 2/4 human ranger with training. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put onto one or more human you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So it's 1 or more, not whenever. And it only triggers once each turn. So, but still, a little bit of card draw. 5-drop slots in this deck. Who knows? Interesting. It'll be interesting to see where this training human sting ends up. I hope it's good. Sparring regimen, Luminarch aspirant, this guy, the other guy, some other Selesnya stuff. I hope it becomes a thing. All right, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I will, of course, continue to be bringing you this spoiler content every single day during spoiler season, just to keep you up to date. Nothing, hectic. Yeah. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Again, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.